insert from the Asantehene Osetu, and as the Otumfuo spoke at that very ongoing conference or congress of the Ghana Bar Association that's taking place in his home state. Well, would want to hear from him, and also we'll have to stay with him as well, as he also had his thoughts on calls for a new voters register by the MPP and some of the other parties.
Here we are today, struck down by the tsunami of scandal that threatens to wash away the integrity of the entire judicial arm of government. I speak with the pain of a nation betrayed and the anguish of a people ravaged, whose faith in their nation's most cherished institutions now lie in a crushed earth. Our ultimate goodness of our countrymen, faith in our capacity to rise from the ashes of despair. For a start, the world can be assured that the commitment of the nation to democracy is irreversible. That the commitment, however, will be hollow without a robust, credible judicial arm. So there's no way that this nation is going to allow the judiciary, the judicial arm of government, or any of its institutions to wither away. Whatever it takes, however long it takes, all of us, chiefs and people, young and old, will rally together to salvage the integrity of the judiciary. Structure, but there's still a lot to catch up on. Usually silent over contentious issues concerning preparations for the next presidential and general elections. Mr. President, I suggest to you, instead of putting it to you, that the forthcoming elections could be the most challenging in our constitutional development. After the landmark legal tussle which followed the last elections, the world will expect that all the lessons have been learned, all the loopholes have been identified, and we should therefore have a reasonably error-free, truly free and fair poll. For good measure, this will be the first election since the restoration of democracy to be conducted under a new electoral commission.
So the Otumfuo Osetu, the second, and he's the Asantehene, we know. But he touched on a very sensitive subject. I don't know how sensitive it is when now it's gained a lot more local prominence, but also not only in the media, but internationally as well. Started by your party, putting together numbers, photos of people who are said to have been on the register of ours, but also currently on the register of the Togolese.
Our position is that we should do a completely new voters register. One, at the Supreme Court, there was an over a number, the presidential and the parliamentary voters register, there was a difference. And the electoral chairman of the electoral commissioner was asked, and he said, oh, it was, the presidential was more than the parliamentary because of Ghanaians overseas in the missions and those serving in what do you call it, the army and the police who are doing this. So he was asked to produce evidence to show that out of about 500,000 or so, he produced 705. Only 705 out of this. And then even within the 705, 52 out of that had done double registration. So that was one. After the initial registration, we had 13 million people registered. So he, Dr. Farijan himself said, no, for our population, 13 million was just too much. I mean, compared to what is the international standard. So we want to do a cleanup. After the cleaning, we went up to 14 million. After the cleaning, when we were supposed to rather go down, the thing rather went up. Looking at the register as it is, like the investigation that we've done, you notice that there are some scanned pictures not original on the register.
And the argument for that one is they shouldn't have been. You shouldn't have been seen to be.
It should be direct, like you did. You go, you register, and
how do you know they were scanned?
Oh, I need technology will tell you a picture that is scanned and one that is original. Then again, the last point is that the Supreme Court ruled, Abu Ramadan versus the Legal Commission, that you cannot use the National Health Insurance card to register. Now, the numbers are so huge. It's just like adding a granulated sugar and salt. You put them together and they say, oh, please take the sugar out and get the salt. It's just that too difficult. And I've said here before that there are situations where architects and this will tell you that if you want to do a renovation to this building, I assume you better rather bring the whole building down and put a new one. That way. Otherwise, you weaken the foundation of the structures. So for these reasons, we have said if it would be too laborious to go through such a system and get a really good, credible voters register. So let us go in there. Look, Togo did a new register. Nigeria did a new register before. Cote d'Ivoire.
So for us, every electoral period, we have to do a new register.
For these reasons.
2004, did we do a new register?
2004, yes, we did.
That was when you came into office.
Yes, we did.
Did we do a new register?
We did.
2008, new register.
Yes, we did.
2012, new register.
And the interesting thing is that Nigeria had 76 million people on their voters register before their last election. When they did a new one, they came down to 64 million.
So
Togo,
you're saying
sorry, not Togo.
You're saying us and Nigeria were the same people.
Cote d'Ivoire had 8 million on their electoral register. When they did a new one, they came down to 6.4.
It's not because perhaps the demographics are different. We have those who qualify to vote a lot more, etc. Per the population.
No, are you getting what? So they had.
You are talking about the averages.
No. On their old register, they had 76 million.
And when they do a
when they did a new one for their last election, they came down to 64 million. Cote d'Ivoire had 8 million. When they did a new register recently, they came down for their election. They came down to 6.4 million. So there's this thing to show that there is a problem with some of them, and there are new technologies coming out to take some of these things that we didn't have the technology to do.
Mr. Kuntu Blankson, if you listen to the Otumfuo, he says, and I have to quote him here, we should ask ourselves now, is our voter register tainted? If it is, how best can we clean it to give the register credibility? Clean. He didn't really say we should compile a new register. Well, why is it that we know the various electoral points, the polling stations, they will display the voters register as we have it currently. If it's going to be updated, it's updated. But once it's been on display, if the MPP and the Electoral Commission and the other stakeholders, the NDC and the other party, they see where they have problems with, you do the appropriate thing, you take the forms, you do the signing, the petition, and then you clean it at the polling station area. It's all compiled, we have one whole register. Why do we need to now begin a whole process, biometric registration, compile a new one, etc.?
You know, I was just listening to my brother on my right, quietly, when he said, first it was 13,000, isn't it? If my memory, 13 million. And when it was supposed to be cleaned, updated, or eliminated.
It's not necessarily clean. It's the intent there was supposed to clean, but the intent also to make sure we compile.
That is what I'm saying. Compiling, you see, because first it was 13 million, and they decided to update the records to make sure that it will be 30 million or not. You understand? So eventually it was something like they were doing auditing. And what happened? It became 14 million. Is that what you said?
Yeah, sure.
Okay.
Sure.
So now we are saying let's go back to the drawing board and come up with another new register. What is the guarantee that the number will not swallow up?
Oh, how do you know? Now we have hindsight.
No, I've given you the scenario.
There's a new technology which
let him finish.
you want to do about it.
You see,
throws it out.
Once you are stating an issue, you must look at the pros and cons and know which one will be a remedy for the situation. Because all what they are doing for Ghana. Otumfuo spoke as a citizen of Ghana, making sure that whatever happens, there will be total peace and tranquility in the nation. Because where he sits, there might be certain factors that has informed his judgment to come out. Or it doesn't come out to speak just like that.
Do you think we need a new voters register?
Well, I know that the register can be audited.
So we don't need necessarily...
No, because we Ghanaians went there to compile our lists. And we had all political parties, their agents at the stations where those names were written. So if by any negligence we have let ourselves to that level, we are the same people who go back and correct the anomalies. Nothing stops us. If we agree as citizens or political parties who have this country in interest in their heart, and they decide that this is the way we want to go, it will be well for us. And if they decide to go otherwise, the same situation will prevail. You understand? It's human beings. It's not angels from heaven who are going to keep watch on it.
But somebody will ask, why is the NDC feeling so much reluctant about it? Particularly the NDC. But even though we've had divided ranks among the CPP and the PNC, for example, saying they are not outrightly in favor of having a new register.
You see, let me put in this before. The new technology that have come, now you don't have to go back to the polling station and then be verified. You have your swipe card. Your card is swiped. So you just put it in the machine. Just like the swipe card you used to open.
So that what was used in Nigeria?
Yes.
So that's what we want.
That's what absolutely.
That's a different thing.
You don't go and they tell you that even though
so now we change the argument to even the technology we're going to use.
Yeah, no, it's part of it. So it will take off.
So now we're going to employ new technology.
Yes.
And then going to compile a different one.
Sure.
Right.
So you come and you...
Okay, we'll see how that goes. At the end of the day, though, the Electoral Commission says it's giving, September 22 to the political parties to come out with their concerns and proposals, and they will also sit. Following that, we also had some other other interested parties as well. Not the political parties, but talking about civil society organizations, and they're also raising concern. The Electoral Commission says, well, just like the political parties, you also need to make those presentations, and then we take all that on board. The point is we need some level of consensus, but majority consensus is what really is a consensus we all need. So we'll see how this very argument is. But that'll be it for the morning. I've been joined by George Kuntu Blankson. He is a former member of parliament for Ekumfi, but currently aspiring to be back in parliament on the ticket of the NDC for that very constituency. He's a Ekumfi man. Thank you very much, Uncle George. And also James Apietuankra. He's a former member of parliament for Lower West Achim, and is one of the notable opinion leaders for the MPP within the constituency.